That's not a dessert. Don't try and pretend that's in place of dessert. I want pudding.
Our last guest had a drawer of cheese at home. What are you?
What, a drawer made of cheese?
Maybe.
Yeah.
What are you crazy about? What's your food or something that you just love or passionate about?
Oh, cookies? No, yeah, cookies can work. I just about everything you can do with a potato. Yeah. I like that.
You won the back. You won the back.
I'm back in the room, and I do find breakfast cereal hard to beat in all its many and luxuriant forms.
A breakfast cereal choice? You have that we would recognize? How about that?
Do you know what I have? A little something that I forget exists until I come to America is Golden Grahams. I do quite like something quite nice. I mean, I think they're really bad for you, but I don't think we're just not going to worry about that. Yeah.
Well, tell us, we're obviously huge fans of all your work, but how did you get into acting? Did you start in theater, or what was your background in acting?
I was just a kid who watched the TV and thought it looked like a fun job. That is, and I watched. There was a program called Doctor Who. I don't know if you've heard of it. And I watched that as a kid. And I remember having a conversation with my parents about people on TV and what they were doing, and that they were people pretending and telling stories, and I remember at a really young age getting what that was and thinking that was a really good idea, and deciding that that's what I was going to do when I grew up, and it sort of all worked out. So that's
okay. It worked out okay.
That's why we're here.
Everyone.
So many people in this room.
And everyone in this room are die-hard Whovians, die-hard fans of the show.
I think that one was like Roger.
Rogers. Jessica Jones. Was there a show or something on TV that as a child, as a young adult, that you just loved?
Oh, I loved I loved all sorts of things. I mean, I did love Doctor Who. I was a Doctor Who fan. As many of the people who currently work on Doctor Who were, it seems to be sort of almost compulsory now to get a job on Doctor Who. You have to have grown up as a fan of it, but I definitely did that. And then, like for American shows, I used to love the Incredible Hulk show. I loved that. I loved the Incredible Hulk comic books as well.
So
I know, there was something deeply tragic about it. Maybe it was the wig. But no, that was a fantastic. I loved all that stuff. There was quite an obscure British show called Into the Labyrinth. Does anyone here know that? Like one person. I used to love that when I was a kid. All sorts, yeah.
Well, let's fast forward and tell us about the journey of getting into Doctor Who. Like, how did that happen?
Well, I was doing a show for the BBC called Casanova. Yes, that was me.
Pretty fun game for you today.
I had blue eyes, but other than that, it was me. I had to wear, because Peter O'Toole was the old Casanova, and I was the young Casanova. And nobody was about to tell Peter O'Toole that he had to change his eye colour. As he had some of the most famous eyes in all movie history. So I had to wear these thick blue contact lenses for weeks. But other than that, it was me. Just in case they threw you off. What was I saying? Yes, that's right. So I was doing Casanova, and it was written by Russell T Davies, who at the same time was in the middle of putting together the reboot of Doctor Who, along with Julie Gardner, the executive producer, also of both shows. So Casanova ended up being my kind of audition for Doctor Who, although I was completely unaware of it at the time, because I didn't realise they were looking for anyone. Russell asked me round to his house in Manchester, which is where we've been filming Casanova, because he had a couple of rough cuts of the first series of Doctor Who, and he knew that I was a bit of a fan and that I might want to see how the show was looking. So he invited me over and he showed me a rough cut of Rose, the first episode, and I was very excited. And then he showed me a really rough cut of Dalek, the first Dalek episode, without any special effects or anything, but you could tell it was all very exciting. And then they told me that they wanted me to take over. This is before the show had even transmitted, so that was the slightly weird bit. Because, they hadn't, would you take over and can you film a scene for the end of episode 13 kind of in about 10 minutes? It was a bit like that. Which was odd because the show hadn't been out yet, so you were thinking, well, what if I film a little bit for the end of episode 13? The show doesn't ever go again, and I'm the person that played the Doctor for 35 seconds.
Thank you.
But I would probably still have got a big finish series out of it, so
So you didn't have Eccleston drawn, like you had seen up to that point?
I didn't have to watch it.
For the first season, Chris Eccleston, you didn't get a chance to see those shows before you auditioned for...
Well, I didn't. That's what I'm saying. I didn't really audition. They showed me some of these rough cuts around at Russell's house, and then they said, "Turns out we need someone for season 2. What do you think?" So it was just it was slightly unexpected to say the least.
So the brilliance of Doctor Who is sort of that built-in ability to renew itself because of the regenerations, the new doctors, going into it and taking on that mantle. What was, how clear the picture was it of what the 10th Doctor would be, and how did that sort of form into what we know and love as the Doctor?
It sort of kind of emerges through, because obviously Russell T Davies is writing it, so you've got scripts that are kind of brilliant. So that's quite a good starting point. And then you just, so you take the script and you have ideas of what you want to, how it needs to be, and you just kind of throw some energy at it and you see what sticks. Obviously there are the practical things like working out what you're going to wear, which ends up becoming this huge, vast question that can be quite onerous. That was quite difficult. We spent like days in a costume house in London, just going. What?
Love the coat.
Love your coat. They love you.
Oh, thank you. I did always. One of the first things I said to Russell and Julie the very night they said, "Would you take over?" Before I'd even said yes, I said, "Can I have a really long coat?" I just think it's important. So yeah, the coat was kind of great. Made of a sofa covering, would you believe? So yeah, so finding the costume and putting all that together, that's all about kind of the pressure of that, and it's all very exciting until you realise you've actually got to turn up and do it and people have got to watch it, and you've got to not break it. That's the thing. When you're being sort of handed something that's been loved and cherished down the generations, and has been running on and off certainly, but it's been running on TV since 1963. You think, oh, please don't let me be the person that makes a mess of this. So it's the pressure of that. It's hugely exciting to be plonked into the middle of something like that, but it is, you just want to get it right. You want your 8-year-old self to be proud of what you do.
Was there a certain point during the run that you realized that the magnitude of it really hits you, and just the...
Oh, all the time. It kept doing that, just the amount of attention it got. when it was announced that you were doing it, just your life sort of just changes a bit. Everything's just you become. People are just interested in sort of everything about you from that moment on, which just takes a bit of adjusting. You just have to get used to the idea that going to the supermarket will never quite be the same again.
12 people have already purchased your sweater online.
Have
We have plenty of fan questions, but before we get to that, I have loved you and I've hated you because of your role as Kilgrave. Absolutely, by far, the best Marvel villain that we've seen, and tremendous.
I bet you say that to all the psychopaths.
What attracted you to that role, and wow, tell us about that experience.
Well, that was just, I got a phone call I actually did get a phone call from Jeff Loeb, who's the head of Marvel Television, who I used to read comic books that he'd written. So he sort of called you up and goes, so we're making the show, and I didn't know the comic book. I thought I was quite good on my Marvel comics. I'd never heard of the Jessica Jones comic book. But I read it and thought, oh, this is juicy. Not one for the kids, I have to say. It's a more grown-up version of the Marvel Universe. PG-13 at least, I would say. But it was a great story, it was a great character. I got to be a character from a comic book. My 8-year-old self was quite pleased with that as well. Although I haven't shown him Jessica Jones yet, because that would be weird. It was too exciting to turn down.
With the fans that love your role as the 10th Doctor, were any of them in some way mad that you played such a villainous role?
Well, only if they were stupid. In my experience, Doctor Who fans are not stupid by definition. I think people understand that, actors play different roles, and that's part of what you do, and just because you played a good guy doesn't necessarily mean you're a good guy. Just as playing a bad guy doesn't necessarily mean you're a psychopathic murderer. So, I got the idea about actors and stories when I was very small, so I just assume everyone else does. I'm sorry if you don't.
Did you find that one was easier to play than the other, playing a good guy versus playing?
They're just different. They're different sort of roles, different sort of challenges, I guess. But actually, what you have to do is approach each character for who they are, rather than going, oh, this is a baddie. How do I chew the scenery in this bit, or this is a goodie, therefore I can't do X, Y, Z. Each character just has to be. Well, it's neither good nor bad. It's the middle ground that's what makes characters interesting. I think it's the bits of Kilgrave that make him where you see his vulnerability, or it's the bits of the Doctor where you see his darkness and his vengefulness. And when you get, that's what we all are. That's what human beings are, and probably Time Lords. So I think that's part of what you're trying to do as an actress is find the bits that surprise an audience and the bits that the contradictions within a character, because that's what makes a character hopefully come alive, I think.
Well, you certainly contributed to a lot of sleepless nights in this room
Good.
because of your role. So let's go to our questions. There's an awesome little dude ready to go down here. So go ahead.
Hi, my name's Parker, and I have a question. How does the TARDIS make more rooms?
How does the TARDIS make more rooms? That is an excellent question. And luckily, I have a degree in transdimensional physics. Unfortunately, most of the people in this room probably wouldn't get it like you and I will. But it's all to do with things being. It's a bit wibbly wobbly. I know you understand it, I just don't know how to explain it to the rest of the people in the room. But there are always all those... Basically, the door into the TARDIS, you're actually going through a door into a different dimension. That's what's happening, you see. And in the other dimension, the TARDIS is enormous. It's bigger than this room, it's bigger than the whole convention centre. And it's got a gym, and it's got a playing field, and Starbucks. It does have a Starbucks. So that's how it works. It's the door in from dimension to dimension. But you knew that. I'm just explaining to the rest of them. Good question. Good question.
Oh, he's so cute.
Next time we'll bring a whiteboard and a chart. You can just.
Yes, we'll do some calculations here.
I think I have to crouch down a little. Okay, first of all, this is a long day for you, so thank you for being so awesome and doing autographs.
Joe.
But on to my quick question. Have you seen or read The Martian? And if so, who is the true Martian man, the Doctor or Mark Watney? Oh. And also, will you mind saying hi to my friend Katie really quick?
Demanding these Madison
your friend
fans
Katie?
Yeah.
Hi, Katie. Are you filming this?
I am.
You're filming this for Katie.
For Katie.
Well, hi, Katie. How are you? What was the question? I've seen The Martian, yes.
Yeah, so who is the real Martian man? The Dr. Tennant or Mark Watney?
Well, neither of them are Martians. One of them's from Earth and one of them's a Gallifreyan. Katie, your friend asked a really weird question.
Welcome to Madison, David. Okay.
So I'm Leanne.
Hi, Leanne.
Okay, so why do you always act in your English accent and not your Scottish one?
Well, I don't. I don't always. It just depends on what the part is. Broadchurch.
Yeah, well, I know about Broadchurch.
Broadchurch, I'm a very grizzled Glaswegian. I sort of, it's kind of half and half, I suppose. The Doctor Who thing was absolutely what Russell imagined. He wanted a sort of, and that came out of doing Casanova, I think. It's sort of the same voice, really. I suppose in British terms, there's a sort of, and this is breaking down, and this isn't even true as I say it, but there's a sort of, there's a sort of more neutral version of a British accent, whereas a Scottish accent is so specifically regional. I suppose maybe it was something to do with that. I don't really know what I'm talking about. I got up really early. I was in New York this morning. No, I suppose, I don't know. These things all just come from whatever the production is and whatever that production requires. I'm happy to do both, is what I'm saying. Yeah. I'll do it really quick, yeah.
David, you know how we mentioned Broadchurch and Grace Point. How was it playing kind of the mirror image of just the same role, and what was that like? How's the experience so different playing it from one?
It was different, and it was exactly the same. That was what was unusual, is that it was. I've never done any of that before, because we did. For anyone who doesn't know, we did Broadchurch here, and then we did basically the same story, but an American version set in Northern California, although filmed in Canada. It was really interesting to revisit a story like that, playing sort of the same character, but kind of a few degrees to the side, or whatever, however you would describe that. It was lovely. I mean, it's a story that I love telling. It was great to do it in slightly different ways and to re-experience it, I suppose. I mean, if you do theatre, you do the same thing every night. So actually doing the same story on the other side of the world with a completely different set of people wasn't such a, didn't feel like a repetition. It felt just like another way of examining something that was like something you'd done before, I suppose.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
I'm shaking just standing here.
Don't shake, it's fine. Come on, we can have a chat. Come over here, come have a chat.
Not really.
What's your name?
Jonathan.
Where'd you come from?
I live in Aconwalk. I came from up north.
Is that far?
Not really.
How many kids you got?
0, and I like it that way.
Don't say that. Having kids is great.
Not at 13.
A good point, well made. So what's your question?
It seems kind of insignificant at this point, but what's your favorite part of Doctor Who, just about it in general, moment to scene?
Having your own TARDIS is pretty cool.
That looked pretty awesome.
It's getting to play with all the buttons on the TARDIS and nobody can tell you to stop because it's yours. What's your favourite bit?
Well, I have 2 favorite episodes because the first ones I watched, Doomsday and The Army of Ghosts.
Nice. Yeah, 2 good episodes, well chosen. You're clearly a man of good taste. When you do have kids, they'll have an excellent father. Well done.
So lucky.
Okay, no adults are going to get pulled on stage. Okay? Not happening. Go ahead.
I love you too, whoever you are.
Okay, stop down, Madison.
Hi. I was wondering if while you were filming Doctor Who, if you ever picked up any of the Doctor's quirks or phrases in real life.
I think he picked up some of mine. It's one of those parts that inevitably it has sort of echoes of whoever's doing it, I think. Sort of got to, because it's a bit of a blank canvas, so you kind of come to it and you kind of got to make your own impression. You've got to sort of give it your own spin. So inevitably that's going to come from you a bit. So I don't know if then I suppose it gets difficult to know what you're bringing to a character and what a character is kind of leaving you with. But I'm not aware of it sort of infecting my everyday life. But it probably did. But it's probably for others to judge quite what that is rather than me be able to tell. I was all a bit too close to it, I suspect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I love you as the Doctor, obviously.
Thank you.
And I also love you as Kilgrave. Is there anything...
You should probably seek some help.
Is there anything... I know you and John Barrowman had a lot of fun on the set of Doctor Who. Was there anything like that kind of happened on the set of Jessica Jones?
What are you referring to with me and John Barrowman? What has he said now?
I don't know, I've just seen several videos of you two,
I thought they'd all been deleted. Isn't it brilliant that John Barrowman, now you just say his name and it sounds like a double entendre? How did he manage to make that happen across the world? Sorry.
Any shenanigans on Jessica Jones?
Shenanigans. Let me think. I can't think of what shenanigans there were. Certainly very little I'm willing to admit to in public. It was great fun filming that because there's something very seductive about having that power. You know, because you can sort of, as a human being, you kind of think, wouldn't that be amazing? Everything you requested just happened. And actually filming those scenes was sort of a bit intoxicating. Because you'd be doing these scenes, you'd be going, throw coffee in your face, do this, do that, bring me that, stand upside down, shoot yourself in the head. And whatever you said, it just happened in the room around you. And that was quite sort of, and then of course they'd shout cut and it stopped. It was, I can't think of any specific shenanigans that I'm going to admit to.
Do you have a favorite moment on Jessica Jones?
There's lots. I like the whole episode that's set in the containment centre. I love that. I think it's such a great bit of writing.
Hey, Jessica!
Jessica!
That was good.
I should have brought you earplugs.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's go over here. Oh, beautiful dress. Yes, go ahead.
Thanks. So, do you believe that everything you see actually exists?
It just got deep. This sounds like a conversation.
Do I believe that everything I see actually exists? Is that the end of that question? Is it a trick question? If I say yes, are you going to prove that I'm misled?
So, is this all a dream?
Oh, I hope not. Well, if it is a dream, it feels quite real.
But how do you know it's real?
So then, when you're in the middle of a dream, if it's vivid, then it's as valid an experience until it stops as anything else. So whether it be a dream or not, I'm very happy to roll with it and not question it too much. Much as I am happy to roll with and not question too much everything that I see in front of me, which I do generally believe to be real. So, broadly speaking, yes.
Okay, so we've wandered into a weird space, and let's go over here.
I hope I don't make this weirder. Hi, David.
Hi. Go on, try.
We have a burning question in my household.
Okay.
I don't mean this to sound punitive, but do you drive? Let me preface it with...
Again, is this a trick question?
We've seen you drive an old Army Jeep, a Vespa thing, and on Broadchurch, I saw you drive a manual transmission. But do you actually drive? Because you seem to always be driven in whatever film you're in.
I'm sure you haven't seen my entire oeuvre.
I probably haven't.
What's that?
Top Gear!
Top Gear, thank you. Top Gear. Of course. No, I do drive, and I drive better than Billy Piper, although Jeremy... You have something to say about that. I do drive. I'm hoping this isn't a trick question. You're from the DVLA and suddenly I've done something wrong. Some parking fines that I...
No, I don't.
No, I do, yes.
It's just an honest question, because my husband and I go back and forth. Does that guy drive?
Yeah, I do. I'm sure I've driven in something. I must have driven in something. I mean, I couldn't talk here.
TARDIS. So that's
I do drive a TARDIS.
Thank
you. Thank you.
These are Madison fans. Curveballs.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hi. As a Shakespeare nerd, I'd like to say I love your Hamlet.
Thank you.
Also, I'm an acting student right now, and I would like to know if you have any advice for young actors.
Oh, do you know, it's funny, you get asked by actors all the time. I think because it's such a precarious profession, and anyone coming into it thinks there must be some roadmap for this, because it's sort of terrifying and precarious and odd and random. And there doesn't seem to be any logic or fairness to it. And I'm often asked for advice, and I never know what to say. I don't know. It's a total crapshoot. All you can do, I think, is do your bit of it as well as you can. Everything else is going to happen or it's not. But be on time, learn your lines, and be nice. That's it.
Hi, I'm Bailey.
Hi, Bailey.
I was wondering if you had to explain Doctor Who to someone who didn't watch it without saying the words TARDIS, Alien, or Gallifrey, what would you explain?
Gallifrey's easy. You don't need to mention Gallifrey because they didn't mention it in the show for like 20 years, so that's fine. You'd say, can I talk about the TARDIS if I don't name it?
Yeah.
Thank you. You'd say, I mean, the trouble with describing Doctor Who is it sounds mental. It's quite hard to describe, even if you're allowed to use all the nouns. It's quite hard to describe and really sort of get to the essence of what it is. What would you say? You'd say it's a bit like The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. There you go. C.S. Lewis, love. It's a bit like The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, and it's about, how do you not use the word alien? That is tough. It's about someone from another planet. Now that's just semantics now, isn't it? Man with the box is often, yeah. I don't know if that sums up the whole show though. Yeah. It's a good slogan for a t-shirt. I think the thing you'd probably just have to do is sit them down and show them an episode. That's a much more succinct way, because that would only take like 25, 45 minutes, and that would explain it much more succinctly than you tell them it's wibbly wobbly and they wouldn't know what you're talking about.
You can just tell them Google it. Just Google it.
Google it, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Not to offend any of the people you don't choose, but who is your favorite companion to act with?
Yeah. See, any question that begins with not to offend, I can just see the minefield spread out in front of me. I had a very, very happy